Release practice day 2. The Math Club sells candy bars and drinks during a football game. 60 candy bars and 110 drinks will sell for $265. 120 candy bars and 90 drinks will sell for $270. How much does each candy bar sell for? We're going to write our answer in dollars and cents. Okay? So we can represent the 60 candy bars as 60C if you want to, and 110 drinks, and that total is supposed to be $265. The second equation that we can write is about 120 candy bars plus 90 drinks will sell for $270. So we see here that we have two equations, so it's a systems of equations, and the way that we would solve this one is doing the elimination. So we'd either need to have the 60 and the 120 in front of the C be the same, or the 110 and the 90 in front of the D be the same. Seems like we'd want to multiply the top one by 2, because that would allow us to have 120 in the front. So we're going to have 2 times 60, which is 120C, and 2 times 110, 220D, and 265 times 2 is 530. Yeah. Okay. And so now we're going to subtract. We're going to subtract this equation and this equation. Right? So 120 minus 120 would cancel. 90 minus 220 is 130. 270 minus 530 is 270. No, 260, excuse me, 260. Right? And that's going to be a negative, and that's also going to be a negative. Divide by negative 130. So a drink would equal, negative divided by negative is a positive. So a drink would be $2. But we also need to figure out how much does the candy bar sell for. So we can essentially just plug it back in to our original equation if we wanted to. So if I have 60 candy bars and I have 110 drinks and they're $2 a piece, I can plug in 2 for my drinks. And so 110 times 2 is 220. And so I could minus the 220 from the 265. And that's going to give me 45 for 60 candy bars. And if I divide, I get 0.75 for every candy bar. Number 2, what is the smallest of 3 consecutive positive integers if the product of the smaller 2 integers is 5 less than 5 times the larger integer? So I want to make my rules. My first number is always x. My second number is x plus 1 because it doesn't say anything about even or odd. So my next number is x plus 2. Now we write our equation. The smallest, and we're trying to figure out what is the smallest, so we're trying to figure out what is x. If the product of the smaller 2, so I'm going to multiply, product means multiply, I'm going to multiply my smaller 2, is 5 less than, so I'm going to take off 5, so 5 less than 5 times the largest. Right. So we have x squared plus 1x, and 5x plus 10 minus 5, and 10 minus 5 is 5. Now I need to set it equal to 0 because I have this x squared over here. So I'm going to subtract 5x, and then I would also subtract the 5 from both sides. So we get 1 minus 5 is negative 4x equals 0. And now I need to figure out what times what and what plus what. So what times what gives me 5? Would just be 1 and 5. And my middle number is negative, which means my bigger number needs to be negative. So I have x plus 1 and x minus 5. And then I want to take the opposite of each one. So the negative 5 would turn into a positive 5. And we're looking for the smallest one, so we're just looking for x. Number 3, the function models the approximate height of an object t seconds after it is launched. How many seconds does it take for the object to hit the ground? So when we're talking about a hitting the ground problem, that means that we need to factor. So we're finding the x-intercepts. So I have negative 5t squared plus 20t plus 60. Always, always, always look for a GCF. Okay, we're going to make sure it's equal to 0, then look for a GCF. So what number can I divide 5, 20, and 60 by? That largest number is going to be 5. And remember, if there's a negative, we always want to pull that out front. So I'm left with t squared, so 20 divided by negative 5. I'm going to change my sign, so it's going to be negative 4t. And 60 divided by negative 5 is negative 12. Then I need to figure out what times what and what plus what. So it looks like I could use a 6 and a 2, and the middle number is negative, so the bigger one becomes negative. And then I also need to take the opposite, and this would be a negative 2, this would be a positive 6. And so when we're talking about time, we'd want to make sure that we're using the positive number because we're not going to measure time negatively. And so it would be 6 seconds.